What's going on, everybody? And happy Saturday night. Yeah, it's Saturday night. What's going on, folks? Um, got some news to talk about here pertaining to Twilight of the Dead. I think it's news that everybody's heard, but we're going to dig in. We're going to dig in deep. We're going to see, how we truly feel about this news. I don't know if it's going to be good news, bad news, or whatnot, but we'll dig in and find out. A couple other little news topics to kind of cover tonight. No, I don't really have a lot on the docket, so if you guys want to interact in the chat, got anything to ask, we'll do a little Q&A, ask me anything, whatever you guys want to do tonight. Let's just have a good time tonight. Let's have a Saturday night, folks. Sean Blue Digital, what's going on, man? Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm finally subscribed to this channel. Thanks to Grande. Thanks a lot, Grande. It was we'll talk about that here in just a second. I have no idea why, but I could never locate your channel from the search bar. Well, we're still pretty small, man. We're still an indie YouTube channel, I guess you could call it. But we've been doing this about 5-6 months now or so, and slowly building. But hey, it's cool as hell that there's 10 people that are interested in what the hell I'm getting into, what I don't want to talk about. So glad to have you, man. I'm very thankful to you to subscribe. I'm very thankful to Grande. I was on Grande's Graveyard Thursday night. We were talking about Romero in the 90s, 90s Romero. And it was a fun conversation, a lot to talk about, way more to talk about than I think on the surface people would think. Because, Romero really only directed those 3 films throughout the 90s, Two Evil Eyes, The Dark Half, and Bruiser. Bruiser was 2000-ish, so really he only did two films in the 90s. But it was an interesting period to discuss, and I really enjoyed talking to Grande about it. He's a huge Romero fan as well. If you haven't subscribed to his channel, check him out, Grande's Graveyard. He's fantastic. That was the first thing I asked him when I got on the stream. He has this nice little spiel here in the intro. Not like me. I just usually pop up on here and start farting out of my mouth. But man, he's slick. He's good, man. He knows his shit. And that was the first thing I asked him when I got on the stream. I was just like, man, how often do you practice that little intro? And he was just like, I don't know, man. It just kind of comes very naturally. He never slips. I've seen many of his streams, and he never slips once. So very impressed. But yeah, we had a good time the other night. It was a little over 2 hours. There was a lot to cover from Two Evil Eyes through The Dark Half. Even the stuff he wrote in the 90s, a lot of the screenplays that never got made. And it was interesting, kind of going through it with him and kind of, thinking about it. And there really was, the 90s really was a roller coaster ride for Romero in a lot of different ways. And after we finished recording, it kind of dawned on me. It was very reminiscent of Romero in the 70s in a way, maybe to a lesser extent. But, you had Romero in the 70s. He makes Night of the Living Dead 1968. It's like, oh, man, you would think this guy's in demand and the money's just rolling in, but that just wasn't the case. He followed Night of the Living Dead in 68. He followed that with There's Always Vanilla in 1970, 71. And then Season of the Witch in 72, The Crazies in 73, and none of those films made a dime. They were very, very disappointing for Romero at the time. And Romero was at that point bankrupt, pretty much. He owed a lot of people a lot of money. And then enter Richard Rubenstein, kind of puts Romero back on the right track. And there was that period there from 73, if you're not counting the amusement park and the winners. Romero was still working kind of in the same way that he was working in the 90s, even though he wasn't, directing feature films at the time. But, he comes on and The Crazies is not a success. Richard Rubenstein, he meets with Rubenstein. They kind of, Rubenstein kind of refocuses Romero's career to the point where it brings us to Martin in '77. So there's like a 3-4 year period there where George was kind of off the radar. He comes back with Martin and then Dawn, and then the rest is history. And the '90s was kind of like that for George. Looking back on it, the early '90s. I mean, George is trying to mold himself into a more of a studio director, kind of a director for hire. Because after Day of the Dead, I don't know if the disappointment of Day of the Dead kind of shook George's confidence in his own writing abilities. But I mean, everything he did after Day of the Dead was pretty much based on other people's work. You had Monkey Shines, which was based off of a novel. Two Evil Eyes, which is, based on Edgar Allan Poe. Dark Half is a Stephen King project. So it was almost like and really even the screenplays and stuff that he was working on in the '90s as well. I mean, we're talking Resident Evil, which is based off of a game. The Mummy, that was a pretty much what Romero was writing The Mummy to be, was to be a remake of the original Mummy. And so, yeah, I don't know if it shook his confidence or what, but I mean, like I said, The Dark Half comes out in '93, it kind of flops. And then after that, I mean, Romero's just kind of in limbo. And then, another producer kind of comes along, and Peter Grunwald, and, it leads to Bruiser. And I think Bruiser mirrors Martin in a lot of ways for George, just maybe not in terms of, the quality of the film or whatnot, because I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of Bruiser, and I love Bruiser. I think, as I mentioned on the stream of the night, I think it's the one Romero title that desperately needs a Blu-ray or a 4K release. I think once that comes out, and I think Grande he sounded pretty certain that it was going to be a Vestron title eventually, which I think would be a perfect spot for it. But I think it's when it does come out, I think people are going to either discover it for the first time or rediscover it with fresh eyes, and not the. So I think when a lot of people first saw Bruiser, I think it was like the first George movie in quite a while, and people were, probably had preconceived notions of what it was going to be, and then it's something completely different. I know it was completely different than what I was expecting, but I ended up enjoying it anyway. But yeah, it was like Bruiser was kind of Romero's, stepping stone back into, Land of the Dead and Diary of the Dead, and he continued his career kind of in the same way that Martin was kind of his stepping stone in the '70s towards, Dawn of the Dead and Night Riders, Creepshow, etc. So yeah, I just thought it was really interesting. And I mean, George was, kind of at pretty busy. There was a lot going on for him in 1990. I mean, he had the Night of the Living Dead remake that he wrote. He wrote a story for Tales from the Dark Side, the movie. And then, of course, he had Two Evil Eyes come out in 1990 as well. And by, as it kind of went up, and then it just kind of fell. It was like one thing after another, just was not working out for him. Then eventually he went back to Pittsburgh and did, Iron City Ass Kickers, which if you haven't seen, it's on my channel. It's one of the first videos I think I ever put on here. And I think he just kind of went back to the well and said, fuck it, I'm going back to Pittsburgh. I'm just going to movies with my friends and have fun. What in the fuck is going on?
I'm sorry.
I'm being invaded by dogs and fucking fiancés. Get the fuck out. God damn. I'm sitting here trying to focus on what the hell I'm talking about, and I got dogs trampling up through my room. And anyway, my apologies. That kind of happened the other night on the stream as well, when we were actually talking about Bruiser. We were about, I don't know, an hour and 45 minutes into the stream, and Grande, we're talking about Bruiser, and Grande's, talking about, giving his take on it. And at this point, I'm hearing downstairs my toddler screaming my name, daddy, daddy. And then Jade, my fiance, is yelling up at, he's like, Michael, are you done yet? Are you done? And I'm just like trying to like not lose it, like I just did, but what the hell, we're all friends here. So yeah, I got a little distracted at that point, and then Grande threw it back to me, and I was just like kind of stuck for a second. I was just like, yeah, Bruiser's really good, and I really enjoy it. But yeah, other than that, I think the stream went great. It was a lot of fun. Grande's a great guy. I hope to do more with him in the future. Maybe have him on my channel at some point. Do something with him. Go back to his. It's That's why I'm doing this. That's why I love doing this. This YouTube channel is meeting and interacting with like-minded folks who love George and love film in general. And just talk about shit that you can't really talk about on a day-to-day basis, at work or whatnot. Sean Blue Digital, yeah, that was a very solid stream this past Thursday. Thank you, and I actually learned some new things from hearing you guys talk. Well, that's what we're here for. I think that's why I'm so infatuated with George's career, is that it's such a story, and there's so much detail to get into and so much to talk about. Sean Blue Digital, yes, we need Bruiser on Blu-ray so I can finally own it. Bruiser never blew me away, but I always liked how different it was from Romero's usual stuff. I actually haven't seen Bruiser in years. Well, I think you would be, like I said, I think it's gonna really benefit it to have a new transfer, like a 4K transfer. If they did a 4K, that'd be great. But I don't think Vestron's ever done a 4K, so it'll probably be a Blu-ray. But even then, I think cleaning it up, and I think it'll look a hell of a lot better than it has at any point so far. So yeah, I think once you go back and rewatch it, maybe with fresh eyes, like kind of maybe like a little more. I think there's a lot there, and we really talked about how Bruiser was kind of George's most, like, his angriest film, and it was just a lot of the shit that he went through in the '90s just kind of pent up, and and Bruiser was the first original film screenplay idea that George had since Day of the Dead, so it had been 15 years at that point. So I think that's why I like it so much. I think that's why I prefer Bruiser to a lot of George from that period. Just because it feels more like George. But yeah, we definitely need that Blu-ray. And Vestron would be a perfect spot for it. And I think that's probably where it will be. Because I know Vestron releases a lot of the Lionsgate properties, and I know Lionsgate owns Bruiser, so that would make the most sense. And of course, Michael Felcher is he works with Vestron, and I think that would be the perfect project for him, because he's a huge Romero fan as well. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. But yeah, it was a great stream. I had a lot of fun. Hope to do it again here soon. If you guys haven't seen it yet, check it out. It's on Grande's page. But yeah, hopefully, even studying and trying to go back and rewatch these films, because I hadn't seen Two Evil Eyes since I did the stream. Was it last weekend or whatever when I rewatched it? And I hadn't seen it in a long time before that. Didn't like it much better, but yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, check it out. It was a lot of fun. Let's see. What news topics we got to talk about? We got some stuff going on in the world of Romero. Touch on. I think first thing we'll talk about Scream Factory for all you physical media cardboard enthusiasts. I love that term. I think it was David Gregory from Severin on a podcast or something referred to hardcore physical media nerds as cardboard enthusiasts, and I was like, that's perfect. That sounds great. So we'll go with that. But Scream Factory is planning on releasing a new 4K release of Tales from the Dark Side, the movie. Speaking of Romero in the '90s. And it's another one. I think it's probably going to be, I'm looking at the Shout Factory website now. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be, $35-$40 when it comes out. But I mean, the fucking Blu-ray is just came out. I feel like it just came out not that long ago. And I think it looks fine. It's another one of those releases that Scream Factory does, where they'll release something on Blu-ray, and then 2-3 years later they put it out on 4K to cash in on it twice, is what it feels like. I actually have that Blu-ray right here in so yeah, I don't. This wasn't a 4K transfer, so I mean, I'm sure it'll look better. But it doesn't really say any of the specs. I know it does say here special offer. If you order from shoutfactory.com, you'll get an exclusive 18x24 rolled poster featuring the original theatrical artwork, available while supplies last. If that's typically when I buy posters, I'm mostly just interested in like original, one sheet posters or promotional stuff or just interesting, weird posters. Like there's a Martin poster that's from Thailand, I think. It's just funky looking as hell. But every time I see it on eBay, I'm like trying to talk myself out of just spending the money and buying it. So yeah, I mean, you get that. I mean, I guess, but I don't really know if of any like extra special features because I mean, we talked about him a second ago. Felcher, I think, worked on a lot of the features and stuff for this film because him and John Harrison are pretty close, and John Harrison directed this film, and so I don't know if there's really going to be that any new features, if any at all, on this new 4K. So, I mean, really, you're just upgrading to 4K just to upgrade and have it in 4K. And I guess you could sell your Blu-ray, I guess, but I think I'm pretty okay with this Blu-ray. And I know I said that when the Creepshow 4K came out, and I ended up buying it anyway because it's fucking Romero, and if anything Romero comes out, I always fucking get it. But I mean, I was really happy with the Blu-ray that they had released for Creepshow, however many years previous. But I will give them credit. That 4K for Creepshow, did look fantastic. I was very, very pleased with it. But I mean, it's just one of those things. I don't know if I'm really going to pick up. Here's the Blu-ray. It's got slipcase and everything. It's fine. So I don't know if I'm really going to go out of my way to pick up the 4K of this. Maybe if I come across it and it's on sale or something at like FYE or something, maybe I might pick it up. But I just can't see myself, dropping, I forget what I paid for this, but I mean, it was close to, $25-$30, I'm sure. And I just can't see myself dropping another $35-$40 for a 4K for the same thing I just bought, a couple years ago. And this works just fine. I'm not the biggest snob about that kind of stuff. Put this back. Fuck it, that's too hard. I'm just going to set it right there. How about we do that? Which some films, if they come out in 4K, I mean, it's a day one purchase, like Dawn of the Dead or Martin. I got that 4K. I pre-ordered first day it came out. Certain films, if I love or if I think that a 4K transfer is really going to help it bring out something new, because my favorite thing about a 4K is just the sound mix. It's always better. I have a pretty good sound system set up here when I watch films, and the sound mix is always better in a 4K for me. But picture wise, I don't know if my TV's just not fucking an OLED or whatever. I bought this TV for $300-$400. So I mean, I don't know how it is the greatest picture quality, but it's good enough. It looks fantastic to me. I'm fine with it. So it is what it is. Like I said, if I find it for a good price, find it for cheap, I'll pick it up. But I'm not going to go out of my way to drop more money than I really need to on it. But that's coming out. I think it's up for pre-order now. Yeah, it's up for pre-order now. I'm not sure. Let me see if I can find a release date on this. It says it ships by November 28th, so I'm guessing that's technically the release date. But yeah, you can purchase that on the Shop Factory. I think you can also pre-order it from probably Diabolic and a lot of other secondary markets, and you might be able to find it cheaper. It's $35.99 right now on ShopFactory.com. So if that's something you're interested in, I'm go for it. I love that film. Like we talked about on the stream the other night with Grande. That was the first horror film I ever saw. That's what kind of got me into horror film. It was I was probably 4 or 5 years old when I first saw it. I just thought it was the coolest shit I ever saw. Fucking cat, cat kills a guy by climbing down its throat and going into its stomach and then coming back up and scaring. When you're 4 or 5 years old, I mean, I guess normal 4 or 5 year old kids would be, really not a fan of that, but that was weird. What can I say? Still am. So yeah, Tales from the Dark Side 4K. Check that out if it's something you'd be interested in. Sean Blue Digital. I would imagine the Tales from the Dark Side 4K will have the original poster art on the slipcover. Yeah, and that's a must-have. And I love the movie so much that I'll keep the Blu-ray. Understandable about double dipping. Yeah, and I trust me, I do that. I've done that plenty of times. I have plenty of Blu-rays and 4Ks. And like I said the same shit about the Creepshow release when that came out in 4K, and I ended up buying it anyway. And I wasn't disappointed because Scream Factory, say what you will about them, but they do a good job. So you can't really argue with that. But yeah. So what else is going on? Oh, I saw this the other day. I wanted to bring it up here. I'm going to see if I can screen share it. But the GARF, the George A. Romero Foundation, sends out like I don't know if it's a monthly or a quarterly newsletter. If you sign up with your email or whatever, and of course I have, and of course you get like some inside stuff. What's coming up soon. They have the GARF Network on YouTube. They actually just posted. I hope I don't piss anybody off saying this, but they actually just posted an interview with Lori Cardill with these two gals that I just couldn't watch. I couldn't get through it. I just I love Lori to death, and I could listen to her, talk about whatever for however long. But yeah, the two hosts, I was just like, I can't. They were just a little too over the top, a little too boisterous, and you get that. I can't stand phoniness. Like I feel like I can, I'm not saying they're phony. I don't want to get fucking somebody saying, "Hey, that's so and so, and they're my friend, and they're good people." And I'm not saying that. It's just it was just a little too much. It was a little too over the top for me. But they're on the GARF Network on the YouTube. If you want to check it out, there's a Lori Cardill interview with I think it's called Horror X is the name of the podcast that they do. But yeah, anyway, back to what I was saying. The GARF Network sends out a newsletter with like what's going on, what's coming up, and they actually just I don't think they're available yet, but they just released. Hang on, let me see if I can get the page up here. And this, I think you can only. This is only information available to newsletter subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed to the newsletter, go ahead. It's free. I mean, you get the what's going on in the world of Romero, or you just come here and I'll let you know. I'll let you know. So yeah, let me see. Here we go. Hopefully, I don't have anything incriminating here in my email, but let me hop over. So yeah, they just announced the new merchandise for the Crazies for the 50th anniversary of the Crazies, which is, to think about that movie's already 50 years old already. And I thought it was some really cool merchandise here that you can get through the GARF. I guess these are pins or stickers or something here, but I love these T-shirts. The one here on the left, it's got one of the soldiers, I guess, flamethrowing another guy, and it says "Nothing amazes me anymore," which is a great quote from the film. Nothing amazes me anymore. Nothing amazes me about this goddamned army. But the one I really like is this white one here. It says either dead or incurably mad, which is, pretty much the premise of the Crazies. If you catch the bug, you either die or you go incurably mad. And that's what a fate. What a fate. But I just wanted to share these because I thought these were really cool. They caught my eye when I was kind of scrolling through this the other day, and I think I might shell out and pick up that white T-shirt there. I can't tell. Yeah, I think the image. Let me see if I can zoom in on that a little bit. Oh, maybe a little bit too much, but either way, yeah, I think that's the house from the beginning of the film. I think you can see like the dad with I guess that looks like a torch or something from where he sets the house on fire. But yeah, it's a cool T-shirt. I only know the logo here, the GARF logo is a little too big for me. I get what they're doing. I mean, this is their merchandise. They want to spread the word and promote the foundation. So it's totally fine. But I think it would just look so cool. Like maybe put that on the back of the shirt or something, like up here at the top by the collar. But yeah, I just thought that was some cool merchandise. A couple new cool T-shirts, and I think I might pick up that white one. I think it looks pretty rad. To quote the kids these days, it looks pretty rad. But yeah, just wanted to share that. If anybody's interested, you can go to I think it's georgearomerofoundation.com. They have a store there. They got all kinds of stuff. I mean, they did they got some Knight Rider stuff available, some Creep Show stuff, amusement park. Usually they'll come out with like a line of different merchandise for George's films every few months or so. So it's pretty cool. So I just wanted to share that and check that out. So yeah, let me get that out of here. So yeah, and then we'll talk about the big news of the night. The director for Twilight of the Dead has been named. And I have to say, I know I mentioned this last week because the news has been out for over a week now, so I'm sure people have heard who it is and all that. I don't know how familiar everybody is with this director. I'm not too familiar with him, but I have heard of some of the films that he's made, and that's a plus. And I've heard good things about them. But the Hollywood Reporter is where I first saw it, where they announced that that Brad Anderson was actually going to be the director pegged to direct Twilight of the Dead coming up. And I will say that this kind of boosted my enthusiasm for this project a little bit, not a lot. If they came out and said, Guillermo del Toro has signed on to direct Twilight of the Dead, then I'd be like, holy shit, we're fucking on. Or, Edgar Wright, or even somebody like Tom Savini. If Tom Savini was, it'd be a different level of enthusiasm, but I would just be excited to see Tom, behind the camera again, getting to direct, another project. But they announced Brad Anderson, and I hadn't heard of the name. When I first saw the name, I was like, who the fuck is Brad Anderson? But then you look up his, so what he's done, and it's a little more, encouraging. I haven't seen any of his work before. But I have heard good things about a few of his films. Session 9 is one that I've heard good things about. The Machinist with Christian Bale. That's one I've always heard good things about from personally, socially, whatever. I've always heard good. I've never seen it. So when I heard, when I saw that he directed those, and I was like, okay. It raised my enthusiasm from probably a 2 to maybe a 4. I think right now, to keep that momentum going, I just need to hear, what kind of budget we're looking at, who they're going to cast. But let me see here. I'm going to see if I can pull up his IMDb, and we're going to go through it, kind of like we did with the writers. When we heard that Twilight of the Dead was going to be a thing, and figure out who the writers was, and I wasn't fucking blown away by the writing team, to say the least. But the fact that they got a director with quite a bit of experience under his belt, like if they would have come out, I was kind of halfway expecting fucking John Russo or something to be named the director, which luckily that didn't happen. No offense to John, I love John, but no, wouldn't be my first pick. But when they named Brad Anderson, I was like, at least this guy's got some experience. He's done some fairly successful projects in the past. Some that I've heard of. I really don't know what he's been doing. I know The Machinist and Session 9 came out. That was probably 2000, early 2000s, had to have been. So I don't really know what all he's been up to since. But I did pull up his IMDb. We're going to go through it here and see what he's been up to. See if I've seen anything, and I just haven't even realized it yet. Let me see. Take a look here. I'm doing that. We got Shambhala Digital. Assuming you stream live once a week, guessing every Saturday. Yeah. Typically, it was every Sunday, but I'm kind of moving it to Saturday. It's not to compete with the NFL. And I say that just because I want to, watch the Sunday Night Football game. So yeah, every Saturday is from now on. Recently added Session 9 to my collection. It took some time for it to grow on me to want to pick it up. And it provides some genuinely creepy atmosphere. Yeah, I've heard good things about it, especially on Dead Pit. I remember hearing the original review of it, I think. And And I remember specifically Uncle Bill really enjoying it. It's one I haven't seen yet. I have seen it around, but I always I was never intrigued by it until I heard, So yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to go back and rewatch some of his stuff. Um, Kind of get a feel for his style and how he does things. But we'll pull up his IMDb here and see what he's done. So let me see, make sure this works. Yeah. So Brad Anderson. How old is this guy? He looks fairly young. So yeah, Brad Anderson was born in 1964 in Madison, Connecticut. He's a director and producer known for Session 9. Yeah, Session 9, 2001. Trans-Siberian, I feel like I may have heard of that. 2008, and The Machinist in 2004. I hope I'm going to get booted from YouTube for this fucking trailer playing. He's won some awards. Let's see. Anything? I mean, we got some Cleveland International Film Festival, Shanghai International Film Festival. Hey, he won a Rondo. Oh, no, he was a nominee. He didn't win. I always remember in the Dead Pit guys back in the day, that was always their, which speaking of, I'm repping Dead Pit today. That was always their big bugaboo was, why can't we win a goddamn Rondo award? And then they would, they'd get nominated and they would lose to some fucking, bullshit nobody's ever heard of. And then they'd come back next day. It's like, fuck the Rondos. We don't care about the Rondos. But this one was nominated for a Rondo, The Call, in 2013. I don't think I've heard of that one. Okay, this one's interesting. Online Film and Television Association. So I guess he directed an episode of Boardwalk Empire, which I think I've seen the first season of that, if I remember correctly. It's with Steve Buscemi, I think. So that's interesting. So I guess, see, Trans-Siberian Edgar Allan Poe Awards. Yeah, here's some stuff for Session 9 and The Machinist. So I mean, the dude's there's quite a few nominations and quite a few awards here. So I mean that's a good sign. It means he's competent, knows what the fuck he's doing. I guess here's some photos of him at work. He looks very young for 64, so he would be 64, so he would be almost 60 years old now. Interesting. Really? Am I doing math? Am I doing math properly? 64, yeah, 2023. He does not look that old. I don't know when these photos were taken, but interesting. So yeah, known for Session 9, 2001, Trans-Siberian 2008, Machinist 2004, Next Stop Wonderland in 1998. Interesting. Let's see. So I guess his most recent feature is called Blood, which, funny enough, was the original title for Martin. George's original screenplay for Martin was titled Blood, so that's interesting. That's a funny coincidence there. Jess, a separated mother and nurse, moves with her daughter and young son Owen back to her old farmhouse shortly after settling in. Owen is bitten by the dog, resulting in a mysterious infection from the bite. Okay. Yep, never seen it. It's got Skeet Ulrich in it from Scream. That's interesting. But yeah, never heard of it. Anybody else in it that we would know? Michelle Monaghan. I'm not. Name sounds familiar, but I can't pick her. Couldn't pick her out of the lineup. So yeah, that's, I guess, the most recent 2022. And then a lot of TV, Peacemaker, Clickbait, Debris. I guess this is a feature, Fractured, that he directed in 2019. Never heard of this one either. I'm guessing a lot of this stuff it's got Sam Worthington in it, but I'm guessing a lot of this stuff is probably direct to Netflix. Like this. I think. Hang on. Fuck. Yeah, I just saw the Netflix logo on the poster. So yeah, I guess that was a straight to. That's a weird. It used to be like straight to video, straight to, DVD. Now it's just straight to Netflix. There's probably not even a physical release of this out there. And I don't have Netflix because I refuse to pay for it. It's just nothing I'm interested in seeing on there most of the time. Just a waste of money. Let's see, Suspicion, TV movie he directed. It's more TV. 2 episodes of Titans, The Sinner. Beirut, he's the director of. See, yeah, a lot of these definitely. See, it's got John Hamm in it. It's got a 6.5 on IMDb. It's not bad. 69 meta score. So yeah, I haven't seen any of these films. If you have in the chat, let me know if any of these are worth seeing. I think I will go out of my way to kind of try to watch Session 9 and The Machinist. That's one I've been meaning to see for years and years and years and just never gotten around to it. So yeah, a lot of TV. So I mean, the guy has worked. If nothing else, I mean, the guy is experienced. He should know what he's doing. He should be. I think it's like I said, I haven't seen any of these. These may be terrible films, but I mean, at least it's somebody. Because I was kind of like, one of my biggest fears was they were going to get like some, I don't know, a newcomer, like some YouTuber or something who sent in a zombie video or something. The Call, I feel like I've maybe heard of this one, but I definitely haven't seen it. Is this? It's got a 6.7 on IMDb. When a veteran 9/11 operator takes a life-altering call from a teenage girl who has just been abducted, she realizes that she must confront a killer from her past in order to save her life. Right on. It's got Halle Berry in it. Abigail Breslin, Evie Thompson. I don't know. That name sounds familiar, but I guess that one came out in theaters. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel pretty out of the loop on most of these. Like I said, it's encouraging that the man does have a long track record of directing, which, Okay, wait a minute. I just saw something really interesting, but what the fuck? I hate IMDb. I fucking hate it because you're on here and you're scrolling, all of a sudden, a trailer or a video pops up and you accidentally click on it, takes you somewhere else, and then fucking hell. It's a mess. Okay, so yeah, he did direct 2 episodes of Stop popping up, fucking thing. 2 episodes of Boardwalk Empire, episode of Person of Interest. I have heard of those shows. Fringe, 12 episodes of Fringe. I know Fringe because that's where Eric the Midget's head blew up. What did I just see, though? I got really excited about. Right here, Masters of Horror. He directed an episode of Masters of Horror, 2006. That's interesting. Which one did he direct? That would definitely be one that I would need to check out. I've seen quite a few of those Masters of Horror episodes. Not all of them. I don't know if I've seen his or not. I doubt it because most of the ones that I have seen were, Argentos or Carpenters, the big names. I don't know what fucking episode he directed, though. Is it this one? We all scream for ice cream? Sounds fun. He also directed an episode of Fear Itself, too, so, which I think was like a spin-off of Masters of Horror. I don't know. It doesn't say here what episode he directed. Anybody in the chat know? It's not going to tell me. Unless it's back on his IMDb and I just... Take me back to where the hell I was. Good God. Oh, these pop-ups. This is worse than a fucking porn site at this point. Every time you click on anything, it's just a pop-up. One pop-up after another. Now let me click on that. Stop popping up. I'm about to get off this thing and just say, fuck it. Oh, he directed 2 episodes of The Wire too. That's interesting. And The Shield. 1 episode of The Shield. Sounds Like season 2, episode 4. I'll have to track that one down. I haven't seen that one. All that work to find out that fucking bit of information. The Machinist, 7.6 in 2004. Session 9, 2001. Happy Accidents, 2000. Yeah, I haven't seen any of this guy's fucking shit, but I guess these are all probably smaller films. So he's been working for quite a while. 92 was his first film. So a lot of experience and a lot of good there on that. So he's executive producer on quite a few things. So I don't know. I mean, it's encouraging, if nothing else. I'm definitely going to have to check out that Masters of Horror episode, Machinist, Session 9. There's maybe the 3 that I check out just to get an idea. But, like I said, my enthusiasm level was pretty fucking low. Let me get back on here. Enthusiasm level was pretty fucking low starting out. Because, I mean, it's just one of those things where I feel like a lot of companies do that now, where they'll come out and say, such and such movie coming soon. And they do a lot of promotion of it in one way or another. They go to, like conventions, or they'll do YouTube videos. They'll make like a fake trailer, stuff like that to kind of garner interest in it, to raise money to make it. And I felt like that's kind of what this was originally. It may still be, for all I know. And they're saying, hey, we have Brad Anderson's going to make it. They probably are, if I'm guessing. They probably are still looking for financial backing, and maybe adding Brad Anderson as the name to direct this thing will help garner a little more interest. I mean, as you can see, it's definitely gotten my attention a little more, just because, I mean, he has had quite a career in the film industry. So, I mean, it is an established name. He, a master of horror, if you want to call him that. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is just another, piece of the puzzle in trying to get this thing financed and made. But I mean, I forget the name. I think it's Roundtable Entertainment. They're the producers backing this. I don't know if they have any money already invested. There's a lot unknown right now. And like I said, I think I'm not going to get too caught up in it and too worried about it until I hear what the budget is. And maybe starting to hear some cast names flown about. But yeah, I mean, like I said, my enthusiasm is now, so I'm interested. I'm definitely interested. I'm definitely going to check out Session 9, The Machinist, and that episode of what was the episode called? I don't even fucking remember. Of Masters of Horror. Sounds good, I think it was. But yeah, it's encouraging news. And will it be any good? Who knows? Probably not. Not to be the ultimate, pessimist or anything and just say, oh, this is bound to suck. But let's be fucking honest, it probably is not going to be very good. Even if it does get made, unless they can pull together a big budget for this thing. And I mean, it's not. Yes, it's a treatment that George wrote. It's not George's script. It's basically just banking on an idea that George had before he passed. Um, is that going to be enough? Who knows? Um, but I mean, if it's in the hands of a capable filmmaker, like I said, I'm not too high on the credits, at least of the writers of this thing. But we'll see. I don't know how the quality of this thing's coming in. I feel like the internet's sucking. I don't know, man. Fucking internet, man. But anyway, we're gonna do what we can. Um, so yeah, we'll see. It's another piece of the puzzle, like I said, and we'll see where it goes from here, if anywhere. It's like a couple of years ago. I remember seeing a lot of advertisement and hype for Night of the Living Dead 2. With Laurie Cardill and Jarlath Conroy and Terry Alexander, and they were going to bring the three protagonists from Day of the Dead back and continue their story or something. And it garnered some interest, but I guess it didn't garner very much money because it never happened. It just kind of disappeared. And I think that's just kind of a common way. I think that's a very modern way of doing things now, of trying to get a budget and get something made. And it's not a bad idea. And in the age of social media and YouTube, where you can produce a fairly slick, 30 second to a minute long teaser trailer to kind of, and if you put that out on YouTube, you get a lot of attention from it. It gets a lot of likes, a lot of shares, a lot of comments, and I mean that's just something that you can take to investors and say, look at the interest in this already. Like there's an audience for this. I mean, it's perfectly fine. I'm not knocking it at all. I think it's a very savvy and very modern way of financing a film now, instead of trying to go to your, like Ed Wood or something, where you go to the fucking the butcher shop or whatever and go to the meat packing plant and see if the owner wants to invest $10,000 in your little movie. At least with this, back then, before social media, you just had a script and an idea, and you try to sell it, to investors. And if you had a good producer that could do that, I mean, perfect. I mean, that's what Richard Rubenstein did for George all those years. That's what Peter Grunwald did for George. That's what a good producer does for the filmmaker. And I think it's interesting now that you can literally, if you can, scrape up a couple $1,000 and make a really slick, really good, maybe not even a couple $1,000. Hell, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've dabbled in that element of film, but if you can put together a slick looking teaser trailer, or put together a little website or a Facebook page or something, you can access a whole new the entire world and see how much interest there is in your product before you try to take it to an investor to say, hey, I want to get this made. I need X amount of dollars. Can you help me out? An investor's just going to look at a screenplay. They're going to say, oh, well, you've never done anything before. But if you have something to kind of show, like, hey, look, there's interest in this. People want to see this. People will go to see this. People will pay to see this. So there's an obvious market for it, and we could probably make this money back. Then you're more likely to get investors. So I think that may be, and like I said, I'm not going to, I think it's very, very savvy, very smart. I think that's probably what's going on now with this project, because I don't think Roundtable Entertainment, they're a fairly new company. They've only been around for a few years. I don't think they have very deep pockets right now, but I do think that they may have certain connections. I think Brad Anderson probably has quite a few connections with his years of experience and working in the industry. He probably knows different companies that would invest. And to be honest, man, if you look at a lot of modern, newer horror films, even stuff like A24, Blumhouse, like a lot of those companies, if you watch the film at the beginning of the film, before the film starts, like in the credits part, where you see like, A24, an A24 film, blah, blah, blah. I've noticed here lately, I noticed it when I saw Skinamarink. I noticed it when I saw Talk to Me, both movies that I thought were terrible. But I've noticed that at the beginning of these films, there are endless amounts of fucking producers attached to this thing and production companies. Like, I think Talk to Me, I remember seeing it had to have been 8 or 9 different fucking companies pop up at the beginning. Like, usually it used to be like TriStar Pictures presents a such and such film, blah blah blah. There was always one company. I mean, that's the big studio. But even like independent stuff. I mean, you look at George, you look at Dawn of the Dead. A number of investors. You had the Italians. Claudio and Dario Argento. You had Billy Baxter. You had Herbert Steinman, of course, who was the father of filmmaker Danny Steinman, who went on to direct my favorite Friday the 13th film, Part 5. He directed that. I mean, there were a lot of, but it was like fairly short. Like, it wasn't. Now it's like, such and such company. Dark Monkey Productions, it's A24. There's like a shitload of these companies that come together to finance these films now, and I think it's smart. That's how you're getting independent cinema made now, and like I said, I wasn't a huge fan of those films, but thank God they're getting made. Horror's hot right now. The Nun 2, which I have none interest in seeing, it's making a ton of money right now. Talk to Me just became the highest grossing A24 film. I think it just recently passed Hereditary. So horror is kind of hot. I mean, you look at, I know, and I'm not, I don't keep up on box office numbers and all that stuff quite as much as I used to, but you do hear stories about, like the Marvel and DC movies are not making quite as much money as they would like, or Disney, which, I mean, these films, don't get me wrong, are still making shitloads of money, but they're not the instant box office smash, blockbusters that they used to be at this point. Right now, to me, it seems like the easiest moneymaker in Hollywood and film in general right now is horror. It's cheap to make, and it makes money, and that's where you want horror to be. That's when I hear a lot of people talking about like, oh, horror is so shitty now. It's not any good anymore. There's nothing good out, and you can have that opinion all you want, and I agree to an extent that there's not a lot that appeals to me anymore. I mean, of course, you'll come across something like Midsommar. Like, when I saw that, I mean, I was just fucking shook. I was like, this is fucking brilliant filmmaking. But you'll come across something every now and then that you like, and most of the time, whatever. But you can't say that it's not hot right now. People are going to the theaters to see these horror films. I mean, Terrifier 2, perfect fucking example. That movie was made for nothing, and it made bank. It made a ton of money, just because it was an over-the-top horror movie, and people were like, I mean, it came out last year around Halloween, around this time, and people were in the mood to go see a fucking crazy killer clown movie, and made a ton of money. So right now, I think is a good time for a project like this to have a chance of getting made. I do think the one thing, though, I think maybe is gonna hinder it, maybe hold it back a little bit from having any kind of like wide release or anything like that, is the fact that it is going to be a zombie film, even if George's name is attached to it. I do think people are a little burned out on the zombie genre right now. I mean, fucking The Walking Dead beat the fucking shit out of the corpse of the zombie genre. I mean, it's still going on, and I know people love that show, and it was a huge hit for quite a long time. But I think people are just a little burned out on the zombie genre right now, so that may be a little harder to sell. I think, but horror is healthy, and it's doing good right now. I'm totally happy with that, because that means more horror is going to get made. We're going to see new horror films getting made that are actually good. I love what A24 does. I'm not the biggest Blumhouse fan, to be honest. I think they just did The Nun 2 or whatever, but the fact that it's out there, I mean, the old stuff is getting really. I mean, we just had John Carpenter's They Live and Christine were just shown on theaters again on screen. I went to see Christine with a friend a few nights ago, and it'd been a long time since I'd seen Christine, and I've got to say that may be in my top 5 favorite Carpenter films. I didn't remember it being as good as it is, or that I think it is. But the performances in that film are amazing. Keith Gordon just fucking blows out of the water. I mean, it's a fantastic performance. I love so much about that film, and I just remember sitting in the theater watching. My friend felt the same way. I mean, he's a huge Carpenter fan, huge horror fan, and he had never seen it. And as we're watching it, and I'm just trying to kind of get a feel for what he's thinking, and at the end of the film, and it's over. I mean, he looked at me and he was like, that really, that's up there. That may be head neck and neck with The Thing for me for second favorite Carpenter film behind Halloween. And I was like, I was sitting there thinking the same fucking thing, and I'd seen this thing before, and I remember liking it, but I didn't think it was great. But I just watching it again on the big screen. I mean, there was there's quite a few people for a Wednesday night, going to see a fucking 35-year-old movie now. So I mean, and I didn't get a chance to see They Live. I did pick that up on Blu-ray today, though. I do need to go back. It's one of my favorite Carpenter films as well. But yeah, Christine was fantastic seeing that in the theater. But yeah, I mean, you're seeing all kinds of horror in theaters. They're re-releasing the old stuff. We're seeing new stuff. I mean, making bank. So right now, it's a good period to try to make a horror film, and I think this is a very good time for the producers to try to make this Romero project. And if it does, like I said, to me, I'm kind of just expecting it to be like a maybe straight to streaming platform type of film, perhaps, and whatever. I mean, I we'll see what happens, but just kind of coming full circle to all this, I think it's a good time to be a horror fan. I think there's a lot of good stuff coming out. A lot of stuff making a lot of money. The new Exorcist is coming out. I think that's going to be a big tell. I think that's going to make a ton of money. I do. I don't know if it's going to be any good. It doesn't. The trailer doesn't appeal to me per se. Like, it doesn't look amazing. I think the beauty of the original Exorcist is that it kind of works on multiple levels. This looks like your standard girl possessed. I mean, it's David Gordon Green, so we're going to get some, what do they call it? What do they call it? Fan service. That's what I'm thinking of. Fan service. They're gonna harken back. I know they brought back Ellen Bernstein for to reprise her role from the original, and yada yada yada. But at the same time, with this coming out, they're also re-releasing the original Exorcist in the theaters, which is one I've never seen on the big screen, and planning on going to see that as well. So I mean, it's a good time. I mean, this is the perfect season for it. I mean, we're already halfway through September. Halloween's coming up. I actually had a fucking nightmare last night that it was already October 31st, and it dawned on me. I was like, holy shit, it's already Halloween. I haven't watched any of my usual Halloween season films like Halloween or Halloween 3 is a good one. Or I really like the Trick or Treat anthology. What are some of my other go-to Halloween time films? Phantasm's a good one. I love watching Phantasm around this time of year. Evil Dead 2, I think, is a good one. I used to watch all the time around this time of year. But yeah, I'm going to try to watch some new stuff this year, try to expand my horizons. It takes a lot for me to really give something a shot for the first time. I don't know, man. I just feel like time is precious, and I don't want to waste it on something terrible, But that's just me. But yeah, it's we're getting into that season. There's a chill in the air. There's it's a good time. It's a good time. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Twilight of the Dead. We'll see what happens with Brad Anderson. I think it's a solid hire. I think it is, and a guy with that kind of experience and those type of connections in the industry, I'm starting to think that this thing may actually get fucking made. So go figure. TCCK Film. Sorry, man, I wasn't trying to ignore you there. I was on a kind of a tangent, but Hi again. I'm wondering if you have an Instagram. I do, but I fucking rarely ever use it. Um, I honestly don't even know what it is off the top of my head. Um, my phone's dead. I'm trying to think. I want to say it's like at Barnstormer88, perhaps. Not sure, but I do have an Instagram. But yeah, like I said, I rarely ever use it for anything. Um, every now and then I'll post like for a while there I was getting into this weird thing where I'd like watch a film for the first time and post a photo or an image or something from the film that really stuck, like would stay with me, and you know, I'd put that up on just to just to kind of catalog in my own brain. Um, but no, for the actual channel though, for Alpha Romero, I don't have Instagram. This is the only thing I'm doing with. Maybe I should start like a Alpha Romero Instagram or something just to have something else. But I'm good with just having the channel right now. Sean Blue Digital. It's a slow night all over YouTube tonight, but I've been here listening. Well, I sure appreciate it, man. I'm glad to have you in here tonight. Good seeing you. And there's a lot to choose from out there. I know that, Dana's always fucking streaming. It's hard to catch her because she'll be like doing a stream at like fucking middle of the day with Jay Reel, and I'll try to hop on there and watch that while I'm at work, listen to it at least while I'm heading from one place to another. But yeah, I appreciate you hopping on tonight, man. Good to see you in here. But yeah, I think that's about all I had to really talk about. It was just, I thought it was an interesting name. But we'll see what comes of it. Um, Anybody in the chat has anything to ask or say, we'll hang out here for a few more minutes, and I'll probably hop off here and call it a night. It's been a busy week. I did the Two Evil Eyes watch along last weekend, and hadn't seen that in quite a while, and that was quite a long stream. Then we did about 2 hours or so with Grande on Thursday, and hopping on here tonight. I just wanted to make sure we touched on this Brad Anderson hire because, man, like I said, it could be good. Could be a good thing for this. I don't know if it like I said, I'm not here to speculate whether this is going to be any good or not, or whether he's going to do a good job or not. But we shall see. But the wheels are still in motion on this thing, so that's interesting to see at least. What the hell else was I going to say? I had something else I was about to say. Next weekend I will not be doing a stream next weekend. Even though I just told Sharp Blue Digital that I do these at least once every weekend on Saturday nights or sometimes Sunday nights. But I will not be next weekend. I'll be actually in St. Louis seeing Queens of the Stone Age. That's the first time I've seen them live, and I've always been a big fan. So it's really looking forward to that. And there's a newer band opening for them called Viagra Boys. I don't know if anybody's familiar with them, but that's a band that I've gotten into quite a bit here lately. So I will be in St. Louis next weekend seeing Viagra Boys and Queens of the Stone Age with a good friend of mine, one of my best friends. We don't get to hang out too much. He lives, about an hour and a half away, and life happens, family, kids, fiance, etc., etc. So it should be a fun night. So I will not be on the channel next weekend. I may do something Friday night. I don't know, but I plan on posting a video of some type next weekend for you guys. I think I have something in mind that's pretty cool. That I've talked about here a few times here lately. So I'll probably post some type of video or something to kind of tide you guys over. And in terms of streams coming up, like I said, not too sure what I got coming up. I got some ideas for some pretty interesting. I think it may be about time that I rank my favorite Romero films from least favorite to my absolute favorite. I've been kind of thinking about that lately after watching Two Evil Eyes and actually kind of debating, like, okay, is this really my absolute least favorite Romero film? I think it is. Um, and then I start going through my head of like, okay, well, if that's my least, what's my second? Where would such and such fall? So I think that might be coming up. And then I'd like to do something, uh, maybe get some type of an interview or a guest or something on here. Um, like I said, uh, I'm not a Walter Cronkite or I guess I don't know if you know he did interview. Who's a good interviewer? Howard Stern. I'll go with Howard Stern or Joe Rogan. I guess you could say for the modern era. Um, but I'm honestly more interested in interviewing um, fans of Romero. I'd love to do that. Just to kind of get to know other fans, other like-minded people. How did they discover George? Et cetera. Some experiences with George or Casper or whatever. Because there's some interesting any of the Romero related Facebook groups or anything out there. There's some interesting characters that I'm very interested in just talking with and kind of getting their take on everything. But so yeah, I might do something like that soon. I know. Me and Grande talked about doing something again here soon. So let's see, Sean Blue Digital. I'm just glad that I'm officially subbed to your channel. Thank you, sir. I'm glad you're part of it as well. And looking forward to more streams. And thanks for the heads up about next weekend. But I'll try to find time for the following weekend. Well, absolutely, man. I absolutely appreciate it. I always see you in Grande's chat. I'm glad you hopped on over here and said hello. Join me tonight for this. Typically, I got more of a topic or something going on, but like I said, been doing so much lately. I kind of spent a lot of my prep time and a lot of my energy doing for the stream that we did Thursday night with Grande for the Romero in the '90s. So I just wanted to hop on tonight, kind of go over some news topics and catch up on everything that's going on in the world of Romero. So glad you hopped on, man. It was good seeing you in here. TCCK Films, it was good seeing you tonight as well. Yeah, I think it's Barnstormer88 if you want to look it up. If you're on Instagram, you can check it out. And I may start an Instagram specifically for the channel, but I'm just not. I'm not the biggest social media guy. Like even on Facebook, like outside of my Facebook groups and stuff, like the Romero related stuff or Dead Pit. Like I what am I going to post recipes for fucking banana pudding? Like, well, what am I going to do? It's like that's 90% of anything I see on. And Facebook used to be so much fun back in the day. Like it was like we would all like everybody was like posting their own thoughts and ideas and shit. Now it's just like everybody just shares memes or shares other people's shit all the time, and it's just like this tells me nothing. It's not interesting to me anymore, and it's 99% of the time it's political. It's somebody bitching about Trump or somebody bitching about Biden, or it's like fucking recipes for tapioca. Like and it's just like no, I'm not interested. It just doesn't. So unless it's in like a group or something, fuck it, I don't really pay attention to it. Twitter is like I don't really fuck with Twitter either. Instagram is really the only one that I kind of fuck with. So if you want to check it, see if you can find it at Barnstormer88. I'm on there. But yeah. So I don't know. I'm not the me doing a YouTube channel is pretty fucking amazing enough. So, but there's something that, like I said, I love doing this. I love like Sean. Good, like glad having you in here. It's like I do this just to kind of meet and mingle with like-minded people that want to talk and want to talk about the shit that I like talking about, because it's something you can't talk about at work or at school or most of the time. It's like I mentioned the other night, I have a Dawn of the Dead tattoo. If somebody sees my Dawn of the Dead tattoo, they're like, oh yeah, Dawn of the Dead, that's killer. And I'm like, yeah, thanks. And they're like, yeah, it's that Ving Rhames, he's a badass in that movie. I'm like, yeah, he sure is. That may be a topic of discussion. We talk about Bruiser being George's angriest film. That would be my angriest stream, is that Dawn of the Dead remake. And it's not even like angry, like, oh, how dare they fuck this up or whatever. But I don't know. I just I have my issues with it. I have my issues with remakes in general, but um, and as you know, it's and I'll even admit it's not a terrible film, but I don't know. It's just rubs me the wrong way. But I think that'll probably do it for me tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and call it, and like I said, I'm gonna have something coming up next weekend. Not sure what it'll be, but it'll be something cool. Hopefully, you'll enjoy it. If not, I'll be back the following weekend. Like I said, I'll probably don't know what I'll do. I may just do my Romero hierarchy, my list of Romero films from least favorite to favorite. Um, we'll find something to do. We'll find something to do. But until then, you guys have a great rest of the night, great rest of the week. Enjoy NFL Sunday tomorrow. Go Pack, go! And until then, everybody, stay scared. See, I need a better ending than that. You know, it's like, hey, everybody, stay scared. I'm envious of Grande's intro and ending. He's got it fucking down. I'm just like, hey, everybody, stay scared. Bye. Click. Um, but could be worse. I could say something really, really offensive to end the stream just to see what happens. I think I might try that. I wonder if I'll get kicked. I don't know. I'm going to end the stream anyway, so I'm going to say something really, really offensive here. Ready?